Hello everybody, this is SteroidUnicorn here, and welcome back to the Minecraft survival world. And as you can see, we are not in survival mode, because today I am going to do a little explanation slash tutorial of my Enderman farm. I've never built one of these before, but the way I have built it seems to work fairly well. And it's fully automatic. I made it so that you can just sit up there and gather ender pearls. And you can see here that we have gathered quite a few. Um, so I have this little train station, but first, before that, we have to start up at the top. We'll just fly up here because amazing flight skills. uh, so when we're up here, so what you want to do basically is start on the ground. Look at press F3 on your keyboard, and that'll bring up your coordinates. And then what you want to do is you want to go 130 blocks up. So it can be 128, but the reason you want to go 130 is because you want to be able to have each Enderman that spawns down there to automatically despawn. So what that means basically is that, as you can see, there is no Enderman down there. If we go down to here, okay, yeah. So you can see there's some Enderman. Go down a little more, there's going to be more and more, and as you go on, there's more and more. So we'll go up again, you can see they all disappear. And that is because when you're 128 blocks away from a spot in this game and a mob tries to spawn there, it will automatically despawn instantly. Yeah, that's why we build that here. So what we're going to want to do is just make a giant cobblestone platform, or pick a material of your choice, but I chose cobblestone because that was the most abundant resource that I had. And then just make a giant platform. And you're going to want... So, make it... let's see here. You're going to want it to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... So what you're going to want to do is make it 36 blocks wide, I guess, this way. And then you can make it as far as you want. It doesn't matter, but make it as long as you want this way. It doesn't matter. It's up to the amount of resources you have. And if you're making a farm, I'm assuming you're doing it in survival mode because that's what makes sense. So make that platform. Then... you look where we have the pistons. You see the pistons here. They're all 1 block away from the center spot. So these 2 blocks every... let's see here. So you go 6 blocks over, and then you got 1, 2. And then you go 9 blocks over, 1, 2. 9 blocks over, 1, 2. And then you got another 6 blocks there. So you want those 2 blocks raised because that way the pistons can push and pull them. And then there's a gap for them to extend. So that's going to be like that. And then once you have that, you need to hook up redstone with wire and repeaters to every single one. So this is a very resource intensive project. But it's well worth it in my opinion because I had a ton of resources and this is what I wanted. So yeah, so you go like that, and then once you're done that, you basically need to just take half slabs, put it around. You need to go 1.5 blocks. So this is 1 block here, and then you go the half block higher so the Enderman can't escape. You don't want them to be hopping out of this place. And then all here. So this is going to be a top slab. Which means that things can spawn on it. Things cannot spawn on this because that is a bottom slab, but this is a top slab, so things can spawn on it. But you take bottom slabs and put it all the way around the outside here, and then you take water and you put it in the middle here. That way they can't spawn there because they're Endermen and they get hurt by water. So that stops them from going there. This stops them from going here. The only place that they can possibly go is here. And then that's our spawning pad. So once you're done all that, I don't know how he got there. Oh, looks like I had a little bit of a spot there that they could spawn. I'll change that after, but it's still a work in progress. I just did this. The problem you're going to have with the pistons is that here, I'll try to get down here for you to see, is it's not going to extend the whole way. So partly on the way down the line, it's going to need to have a repeater, and the spot where the repeater is, you can't line that up with a piston, because otherwise it will like it'll back power, so it'll create an infinite loop of power, and then just the whole grid will always stay powered, which is not what you want. So that's what I have right now. If you take a slime block though, and you put a slime block right here, it'll stick to this block, and it'll go back and forth with it. So you don't necessarily need to have every block cobblestone. Say you have an excess of slime and you don't have as many other resources, and you want to use only half the pistons or a third of the pistons, which is a big thing, because this is 3 stacks of pistons it took to make this. Then you can always take 1 piston and then go 1 slime block. Here, I'll try to give an example here. Slime block. You just go like this. You got that piston. Take a slime block. And then you can go slime block, and you can put these all the way down the line. And even though you might only have like 2 or 3 pistons pushing, it'll still push all these. The only problem with that is that I don't have that much slime. I only had enough to make all these pistons. So that is why that is done this way. So it's up to you. It's got a bit of flexibility in how you build it. But once you're done that, you can go over here to the switch. And what this contraption is a timer, basically, that will I don't know exactly the time. I haven't timed it yet, but it's about a stack and 45 in there, because that was the best that I could find to get the maximum spawning, and then not have it sit there for too long with no spawning happening. Yeah, see, there it goes. So what is going to happen is you're going to want to create a hopper clock or a hopper timer, depending on what you call it, which basically you take a hopper and you put it into another hopper, which you do by shift right clicking. And once they're both facing into each other, you take a comparator and put it into a block, and then on the other side of that block you put a redstone dust, and a redstone dust on this side, and then a piston by the redstone dust, and another piston by the redstone dust, and then a redstone block. And what that does is you put in items. Yeah, see, we have about a stack and 47. You put in items, and the amount of items you put in increases or decreases the time that it'll take for these pistons to move. Because once this hopper is empty, it'll stop powering this for a second, which will make this powered, and then it'll push the piston back. Is basically how that works. And then when it's powered, or the way it powers this is the redstone block. When it's here, it powers it. When it's here, it's not. So then it kind of times it like that. And then you take the redstone dust, and a redstone repeater, and you put it into a piston that you can see there with a block on top. And then that will send out a signal through this block, but only for 1 tick. I think it's 1 redstone tick that it'll send it out. And so the problem with that is you need to put a NOT gate, which means it turns off this piston, or this redstone torch, sorry. That's what basically a NOT gate means. So what you want is to have that signal be delayed, so lengthened a little bit, which by doing that, or to do that, sorry, you take two repeaters and one repeater there going out two different sides of the block. And what that basically does is this will send out a signal in 2 seconds, and this will send out a signal in 1 second. And that means that the signal will go for about a second. So if we, I'll let that do its thing, but basically it turns it off for a second, opens all the pistons because they stop being powered, and then they drop. And that is this whole contraption here, which is just the beginning of what's actually this whole thing actually does. But that's the dropping system. As you can see, they all fall and die. How exciting! So what I did here is I have slabs on top of rails. So underneath we have four, obviously, four slabs wide, and then all the way to the end. And this is 45 blocks below this, because I did some testing and that seemed like the best thing to do. So basically, what this whole rail system underneath does is when a minecart with a hopper, let's see if we can look in this minecart with a hopper here. We can't because it just ran away. Cool. But anyway, what a minecart with a hopper does when it runs underneath a block is it picks up items off of that. So if I were to drop items all over this, which the mobs do when they fall, it will pick that item up and it will carry it down this track down to there. And basically what you have to do is build a... It's kind of difficult to do this in survival because you have to build like under here. I use these to stand on, and then I would have to run back, look up here, look for the powered rail, and then put that underneath and flip the switch, and then do that over and over again. You can probably figure out a better way of doing that, like by putting all these in a row or something. But this is how it is for me. And then once they pick up all those ender pearls, we head down to our drop-off zone, which is right by our portal. Okay, everybody, so what happens down here, like, the ender pearls come down the train there, and then they come down here, and what this mechanism does is it basically, this powered rail is powered all the time until a minecart activates this detector rail. So it comes down here, it deactivates this rail, which when a powered rail is not powered, it acts as kind of a brake for the minecart, so it just stops it. And it's on a slant, so it'll slow down here, it'll stop here, and then when it stops, it puts its items, any ender pearls it has in it, which would go in here, it goes down into this hopper and then into this chest, which you can see there's some more ender pearls in there since we dropped a couple down. And how that works is, this is what's called an RS NOR latch, which basically means that when it's powered one way, it turns on, and when it's powered the same way, it stays on, and when it's powered the other way, it turns off. And it doesn't matter if power goes to either way, it stays that way. I'll try to explain it better. Let me see here. Let's just grab some granite, sure, and some redstone torches. And we will go like this. So how you make it is you start off like this, put a torch here and a torch here, and then you take redstone, which we have here. Let's fly up here for a second. Go like that, and you can see that that torch turns off, and then you want a piece of redstone there. And what that does basically is if you take a button, and you put one here and one here, like that, then if you power it, it'll switch which torch is on, and you can press that one again, it'll do absolutely nothing. But if you press this one, it'll switch back. And once again, if you press it again, it'll do nothing. So it's basically an on-off switch with 2 different buttons. So that's cool. So how that's used for this is basically this, when this is powered, turns this torch off and this torch on. And when this torch turns on, it sends a signal around all these repeaters, which are set to 4 ticks, the maximum amount it can be set to. So that's about 20 seconds, because there's 20 of them. Yeah, I think that's about right. And so it goes around, and when it finally gets all the way around, it powers this block, which will then switch it back, so it'll reset it, basically. So it's an auto-resetting mechanism, basically. You see there? It just switched back, and that repowers the rail, because you take your redstone and attach it to this torch, and that goes underground and comes up over to the other side and powers this rail. I hope that wasn't too confusing for you guys to understand, but that's the basic mechanic of this. So that's that explained. Now, just some tips for you guys if you're building this. If you want to make it so that you get maximum spawning up here at the top, then you're going to want to make sure that you either put half slabs over these pillars, or you put stairs or water like this, like I put water. And the reason for that is because they're up a little higher, and unless you want to build your farm way, way up high, because you're here, and you can see that there would still be Enderman down on that pillar if it wasn't for the water. But there isn't because of that, so you're going to want to do that just to make sure that there is no extra spawning around the map that will slow down your farm. So yeah, that is the basic mechanics of this farm. It is not the most productive farm ever, I know that. It's not maximum efficiency or anything like that, but it is my first design. I built it myself. I don't know, like I didn't look anything up for it. And you guys can definitely do it if you want to copy it. I'm sure there's better ones out there if you want to look for them, but yeah, so that is my Enderman farm. So thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, favorite, subscribe, and do all the other awesome things you guys do, and I will see you guys in the next video.